Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Firly. My registration number is 502 uh, 310 I am the spokesperson for my group with Putri Listyani Susanti with registration number 1221 1123 3218 and Mellisa Sevtia Leoren with registration number 502-310-310-061. So we are here to rate the performance of the company against of three company against each of the items in the crisis communications checklist and list three things that the company did badly and three things that it did well on each of the stages in its crisis communications, which is the anticipate, act, and appraise. And the third thing to analyze is what could have been done better by those three companies, which are Boeing, BP, and KFC. So let's go through each companies. So the first company is Boeing. To rate their performance of the company against each of the items in the crisis communication checklist. For there are five items to check here. So the first one is clarity. Like initially, the clarity of the problem handling crisis communication is lacking, causing confusions about the issues. But over time, gradually it improved, so it would be more clear to communicate about the problems and corrective actions. The second one is competency. Initial responses raise questions about Boeing's understanding of the situation. Their competency is gradually demonstrated through detailed plans for aircraft modifications and enhanced safety measures. Number three is consistency. So the early inconsistencies were observed in messages from various sources. Efforts were made to enhance consistency over time, aligning statements and maintaining a more united front. The fourth item is control. So the initial responses seemed reactive, lacking control over the narrative. The subsequent efforts showed a more proactive communication, taking charge of the situation and addressing concerns. Number five is compassion. The initial communication appeared somewhat detached, especially in acknowledging the impact on affected families. Over time, there was a noticeable improvement in expressing empathy and understanding. So I think that the Boeing's crisis communication evolved positively over time, with notable improvements in clarity, competency, consistency, control, and compassion. So the next thing to analyze is the three things that the company did badly or did well in each of the stages of its crisis communication. So, uh, although the anticipation of Boeing's is their delay in acknowledging and addressing initial reports of issues, they eventually implement the software updates to address safety concerns. So, and the next is how they act. The initial, the they begin with communication that lacks transparency, like so it would impact the trust of public, but With their collaboration with aviation authorities, they implement safety measures and will slowly regain how public trust works. And next is how they appraise. Their inconsistent communication and changing statements cause a lot of confusions among the public. So they started to acknowledge their mistakes and take steps to rectify the issues. So, what could have been done better by Boeing? For the first one, is they improve transparency and timely communication to regain public trust. Next one is enhance the crisis management team's responsiveness. And the last one is strengthen collaboration with regulatory bodies for a more proactive approach. Okay, so the next case study is BP's oil spill crisis in the Gulf of Mexico. So for the clarity, like BP was honest with and transparent enough in their acceptance that the oil spill was their fault, but their competency is lacking because their leadership dragged the company's image down because the chairman's response, Tony Hayward, to the crisis was worsening the damage that has been done. He replied that a, in one in one interview with The Guardian, he replied that the volume of the oil that was spilled into the ocean was nothing compared to the volume of seawater in the Gulf of Mexico. It was another rub of salt on the wound for BP because it made their image more terrible, although Hayward uh, apologized for his incompetence in handling this crisis. His apology did not win people's hearts. So, BP's reaction towards the crisis is, I think, more consistent to is consistent that they are thinking that the oil spill was nothing but a scratch on the environment because they thought that the pollution level was modest. So they thought that it was okay for the oil spill, although the effects can be seen how worse it was for the environment around them. Next is how BP controlled the crisis on this matter is also not great because they could not isolate the crisis and let the image of the company turn negative, forcing those who are using BP's product to stop using it or changing its name due to the affiliation they have with BP. For the compassion, the lack of compassion is shown by how Hayward responded to the oil spill crisis, saying how it does not affect the environment because of how small the volume of the spilled oil is compared to the volume of the seawater in Gulf of Mexico. To list the three things that the company did badly or did well, I don't think that there are any good things that are done by the PR team of BP on handling this crisis because they failed to express their regret to the crisis that happened because of how they lack the understanding on how their oil spill is affecting the environment and their acts on handling this, like the chairman response is not proper enough because it doesn't only affect the nature around it, but also the people who live around there. And I think that on the appraise, the crisis is stressing BP a lot that they forget their responsibility in responding properly to the public about the oil spill. So, what could have been done better by BP is they could have apologized properly, showing that their empathy to those who were affected by the crisis. I mean, a company as large as BP should have handled this better since they are also a company, an oil company, so they are related to the nature, so they could have been more aware about the environment's safety. And the last case study is KFC. So, for clarity, in the performance of KFC companies is classified as good because during the crisis period, KFC companies continued to strive to be transparent and the media must know this. Honesty in doing business in KFC is the main thing. KFC openly spoke to the media that during this crisis, uh, KFC ran out of chicken stock and would try to reopen for customers. For competency, the effort made by KFC company to handle the crisis problem was very good. They quickly acted to overcome this crisis problem by cooperating with the franchise company to handle the problem of chicken out of stock. So in consistency, their consistency in company performance is very good because in times crisis can that cause the store to close temporarily. It turns out that KFC strives to be able to reopen and serve chicken that is characteristic of it, so such as crispy texture and distinctive red and white brands. In addition, KFC also introduced new products for customers, such as the KFC bucket with the image of Colonel Sanders, without losing the characteristic of the chicken. For control, the company seeks to overcome this problem by cooperating with external parties, such as franchise companies, the media, and customers without causing losses to the three partners or to the three parties. KFC uses the media as a means to communicate with customers to apologize for the current crisis. Meanwhile, for franchise companies, KFC strives to so that its stores can issue fried chicken products as before. And compassion, KFC routinely provides information to customers about their store through social media and the official KFC website. KFC informs customers that their store is currently experiencing a crisis and they are still trying to solve this problem so that the relationship between KFC and customers does not cause misunderstanding and customer interest in KFC chicken will continue to increase. Uh, and the three things of how bad and how well the company handles the crisis in anticipation, a lack of preparation in formulating the risks that will occur in the future, or to focus on sales success before the crisis. To anticipate those problems, they develop a cooperation plan with other companies to overcome the sales crisis so that the impact of this crisis problem is not prolonged. So, the early action when responding to customers and media inquiries were delayed due to the lack of preparation for the crisis. But gradually, KFC overcome this problem, such as by cooperating with franchise companies and providing a quick response to customers when the store is temporarily closed, so that customers can understand and not feel disappointed. In appraisal, at the On the early time of the crisis, they lacked the strategy to deal with the crisis, but slowly they learned to update regularly on how the store is progressing and in eradicating the crisis problem. So by responding to all questions asked by customers, the action was able to prevent customer concerns over the availability of fast foods. So, what could have been done by KFC? The first is periodically checking the risks that will occur in the future by preparing anticipations and taking actions that can reduce losses when when there is a crisis problem. And the next is conduct regular evaluations of the performance of KFC companies to prevent the same mistakes from occurring when there are problems. I think that's all from our group. Thank you.